Hi, and welcome to this explanation of Bloom's revised taxonomy. I am currently a sophomore at Indiana University, and I am majoring in Spanish education. Therefore, the following examples will be related to that of a Spanish classroom and include technology. This is an infographic I found on writestuffmusic.com. It showcases the 6 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. As you can see from the picture, there are 6 levels. These levels are as followed: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. The first one I'm going to talk about is remembering, and then follow along the infographic. So remembering is the simplest of the 6 levels. The basic definition for remembering is the ability to recall information that you have already learned. This is pretty simple, and an example of this would be to use online flashcards to study different Spanish vocabulary words. The first remembering is this purple one. As you can see from the bubbles, it's kind of like, looks like a student remembering just things in her head. Pretty simple. The next one is understanding, which is this blue part. Understanding is pretty similar to remembering, except that instead of simply remembering the information, you'll also be interpreting the information and providing explanations. An example of this level would be to have your students explain what each grammar tense means and when to use the tenses in the form of a haiku deck. The haiku deck is similar to PowerPoint, but is more fluid. I personally like haiku deck more. The next example is applying. Applying refers to the use of understanding of the information in a new situation. As you can see, the person here looks like she's applying what she already knows to some sort of presentation. An example in Spanish of applying would be to have your students write a paper on Google Docs using their knowledge of the different areas of Spanish culture. Next up is analyzing. As you can see, this guy is holding a microscope as if he were analyzing something. Analyzing is a little more tricky than the previous levels. The definition of analyzing is the exploration of relationships between information by separating the information into parts. A good example that I came up with was to have your students create an Explain Everything video to explain the relationships between Spanish icons and today's Spanish culture. Explain Everything is actually the app that I am using currently to make this video. Next up is evaluating. As you can see, this guy is holding some sort of like something he can use to evaluate. A good way to define evaluating is the ability to present and defend information based on a set criteria. This one can also be a bit confusing. An example of this level would be to have your students write a speech in Spanish using different grammar tenses and then have them justify why they use those tenses. The last level of Bloom's and the most difficult is creating. Creating is the culmination of all the previous levels. A good definition for this will be the ability to generate new ideas or products using the information that you have learned. An example of this could be to have your students create their own original game to teach the class about their favorite part of Spanish culture. And in this column, this girl is creating something in science, it kind of looks like. So that's all I have for you on Bloom's taxonomy. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to learn more about SAMR, I have a SAMR model video as well. Thank you.